Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the 16 millimeter film crew. I'm Cindy.
And I'm Dale.
This week we watched Spider Man Brand New Day, directed by Destin Daniel Cretton. A deeply isolated Peter Parker tries navigating life completely alone after the events of No Way Home. He must stop a mind controlling Jean Grey while coping with his lost relationships. This movie stars Tom Holland, Zendaya, Sadie Sink, Jacob Batalon, John Bernthal, Mark Ruffalo, Tremel Tillman, Liza Colin Zayas, and Marissa Tomei. So, what did you think about this new Spidey?
I went into it better than I expected to be. I think they learned from. So I should phrase this. They're as much as people love the other two Spider-Man movies. They especially the most recent one, Far From Home.
No Way
They
Home?
realized, or No Way Home. There were a lot of issues with both those movies. Of course, you use Far From Home is what kicked off the multiverse thing for DC, DC for Marvel, and all that stuff. And now you end up trying to clean up a lot of their stuff in a way. Like, of course, after spending years having him tied to Tony Stark or his villains or Tony Stark villains from, or just go employees from him, he now has his own villains. I didn't like the fact that they just kind of clipped it like, hey, here's a clip of all the Spider-Man villains he should fight in his own movies. They're just gonna do quick shots of it. And finally him getting his suit. You know, the Spider-Man suit we all know and love. Like, even as much as everybody praised Andrew Garfield and Amazing Spider-Man, the first one, you know, people were like 50-50 on the suit. They all said, fine, we'll give him the original Spider-Man suit. They took so long to get Tom Holland in this Spider-Man suit. And it feels like this is almost, you can tell this is like he's like two movies and he's no longer going to be Spider-Man, you know, that kind of thing. So we're like, it took almost to the end of his run of Spider-Man to finally see him look and act like Spider-Man. And then more so Tony Stark's sidekick.
Yeah, I I enjoyed this movie, but to be honest, like I enjoyed all of them.
Yeah.
I think I just like the character a lot. So I think whatever movie he is in, whether it's a solo movie or he's in like a team up movie, I'm just gonna enjoy the character. I think all three guys played the part really well. Obviously, like the best one is the animated one, but I mean, of the live action ones, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and I know so many people had so many issues with the Home series. I think that's what they're calling it, because of Tony Stark and the tech and all the other stuff. Um, Again, because like I'm not steep, I wasn't steeped in the lore. Like it didn't affect me that deeply that Tony Stark was in these movies or that he was wearing his suit or whatever. But I do like the return to form that we got like right at the end of No Way Home when he is like making the, I guess, comic book accurate suit. And like Tony Stark is obviously gone. I think that that was nice. But in terms of this movie, I just felt like it was like more mature, and I really enjoyed seeing all the characters a little bit older because I think the golden retriever version of Peter Parker just wasn't really working by the time we got to the third one because it's like these people are older now, so it kind of need that to fit into the character. Like I need them to grow a little bit, so I like that we're meeting all of them. They're in their last year of college and we're in what they're probably like 21, 22, whatever. So like, I'm like, yeah, I like this space where we're kind of meeting everyone. I think in terms of like what this movie does, like, I just feel like every movie, the last couple of Marvel movies, everyone's like, this is going to be the reset. Like, this is going to be the thing that like, we're going to forget about all of the other stuff that happened before. And we're going to reset it with Thunderbolts. We're going to reset it with Fantastic Four. We're going to reset it with Spider-Man Brand New. It's like, I just feel like at a certain point, the thing has already, I don't even think we're reset.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we're still living in the same universe. Robert Downey Jr. is skipping around for some reason as Doctor Doom. Like, it kind of doesn't feel like we've moved on at all. It kind of just feels we've just done a kind of musical chairs where everyone just kind of switches characters, and we're still here. We're here forever. Like we don't get to leave. So although I appreciate this being maybe like a reset to the Spider-Man series of somewhat, even though we have the same characters, like I appreciate that it feels much more mature. Actually, it looks better than the other ones too. So
Yeah,
like
it really does.
it does. It is a reset maybe for this character, but I don't think it's a reset for the MCU because I just feel like we're kind of still in the same drier setting. Like we're kind of just going around and around. So, but in terms of this movie, though, I really did enjoy it. I thought that the focus on Jean Grey actually kind of made the movie for me. I feel like if she wasn't there, I don't know how much I would like it. Just because I feel like having someone new really kind of just gave this thing the shot in the arm that I think it needed to just rejuvenate it. And I love that it's Sadie Sink. Love her down. Maybe the best actor on Stranger Things. Like, I feel like she just gave this. No offense to anybody. No, there's a couple. There's a couple of good ones, but I think out of maybe the kid actor, I think she might be the best one. But
yeah, there are two or three who are actually legit good actors.
Yeah, there's a couple, but like,
yeah,
I don't know. She was a standout for me. But anyway,
yeah.
I think it was annoying that people kept trying to hide the fact that she was Jean Grey. I think that was stupid. They could have just released that. But in terms of like having a mentor that isn't Professor X, it's just someone slightly older, but not that much older, someone that you maybe could relate to a little bit better. I really enjoyed that. I liked their pairing off. I think to me, the best parts of this movie was actually the inclusion of Aunt May, even though she isn't a huge presence in this movie. Arguably she kind of is like the ghost over everything, but like,
yeah,
whenever she came on screen, that's when I actually got emotional because I feel like one, that's just the power of Marissa Tomei. I think she's just fantastic, but like what she was giving to Peter and then what Peter was able to give to Jean Grey, I just felt like that was like a beautiful pass it on. Like, it's okay to be different, but like, don't let that difference isolate you from other people. Like, you need community, you need family, like you need people who are going to be there for you. I thought that was amazing. That speech was great. Even in the way they kind of played it out, where it's like she's seeing it through his eyes and then it's her in the room with Aunt May and Aunt May is actually giving her that conversation. Like, that was legit great writing, great acting. I was just like, I wasn't expecting it. So it really did. It tugged on my heartstrings. Yeah.
Yeah. I love the inclusion of Jean Grey. I mean, it's the worst kept secret in Marvel movies. Hey, we casting Sadie Sink. Who else could that be? We know you're already resetting everything already. You know, we also the news already of Kevin Feige himself. He said himself that the main focus of their next coming stuff going forward will be the mutants. Oh, you cast a redhead. Could she be? And you know, so yeah, and I love the fact that Spider-Man does lean in, is introducing the mutant stuff. And the way it does is they're not calling them, like I think they tried with Inhumans, didn't land.
Yeah,
you know. I do want to give the Destin Daniel Cretton, the director, amazing job, incredible job.
Yeah, yes.
Especially usually in these series, we see when a new director's hand over reins of a franchise like this, and in totality, I think if you include all the Spider-Man movies and Into the Spider-Verse kind of stuff, I think this franchise has made almost $10 billion.
Yeah,
the highest grossing superhero franchise, point blank period. But to be handed over the reins of this franchise coming from John Watts, and I'll give John Watts his credit where credit due. Even though, like I said, I didn't like the fact that when he was writing and directing, you know, this focused more on Spider-Man's relationship with Tony Stark and those villains kind of thing. I do think he gave a lot of life and creativity to a lot of the side characters in this that helped ease, you know, Daniel and the writing team on this movie too. Okay, now that we have all the side characters, we have all the emotional attachment, you know, knocked out. I can now focus on making Tom Holland Spider-Man feel more like Spider-Man. And I do love that. Like, I remember at one point John Watts was talking about, oh, the reason why his movie's in a feature Spider-Man swinging around, he was like, oh, this is gonna look lame, like it's just on a rope. And when I heard that, I was like, what are you talking about? You've seen 5 other Spider-Man movies have him swing, and it never looked lame at all. It looked fluid and dynamic. And, Daniel really showcased all that in this picture, even though I still find it lame that whenever he's carrying somebody, just a little thing with one hand, I don't understand the physics behind that. It would not work. But I didn't. It's like this movie felt like we had Thunderbolt/New Avengers talking about isolation and depression, and this movie continues that theme, like of self isolation and stuff like that, and pulling yourself out from a circle. And I think it works well with Spider Man because he's known as friendly neighbor Spider Man. Like in comic books, there are like three or four characters in each DC and Marvel where every superhero goes to them, and for DC, it's Nightwing and Superman. Like everybody likes them. For Marvel, it's Spider Man. Like he's the one superhero everybody across the board loves and likes. And so to have him play that middle role, and then you have him dealing with his depression issues and trying to climb out of it, and Jean Grey's hunt for revenge, and having Frank Castle be the other point to him, like, look, I'm not doing this because I want to. Like, if I had people in my life who clearly there are people who care about you, if I have those people, you think I live like this, you're choosing to live like this, and you don't have to. And then that carries on into him interacting with Jean Grey, where he understands that now after like being with Ned and being with Mary Jane. I'm not calling her MJ, being with Mary Jane in the apartment and being himself and being Peter around them and having their friends, he realizes the mistake and Frank was right. And he tries to pass it on to Jean.
Yeah, I thought the people who were included in this movie, whether it was the Punisher or Hulk, who also have their own stuff where they've had to deal with their own like isolation and had to come to terms with stuff. I thought that it was good counterpoints. I think all the people who come in were great mirrors for Peter and his journey, and then also where he could learn different things from each one of them. And I thought that was a really smart writing choice. Mm-hmm. I also really liked, because I found this out when I watched some video afterwards, that like when he's fighting the different villains, that they were like recreating the comic book artwork.
Yeah.
I thought that was so cool. I was like, wow, I didn't even know that that's why we had to like watch those slow motion like shots of him fighting Scorpion or whatever. And it was like, yeah, they were trying to give like a little nod to the comic books, which I thought it was really sweet. You can tell that like Destin like really cared. And I think that everyone who's probably directed a Spider-Man movie also really cared deeply about like the source material and about the character. But I liked his little nods to that, and also his nods to like other things that like have to do with the cast or the character overall. Like I really like that they use a song by Tame Impala, Loser. But Joe Carey, who was on Stranger Things, is in that music video. So like a little tie-in with Sadie. Like I thought that was so cute. Like, I don't know. I think like he was very intentional, like how he wanted to present this movie, because like what you're saying, like Spider-Man is a character that's like loved by everyone. And I feel like this movie has something for everybody in it. And I really enjoyed that. And it didn't feel like it was talking down to you. It didn't even feel like it was too childish or whatever. Like it felt very well balanced. And I really liked that. And how he just presented everything. Like everything just felt like, even the fact that it felt like Spider-Man was like back in New York City, even though they didn't shoot it in New York. They shot it in, I think, London and Scotland, but they did a pretty good job at like matching, like they caught the vibes of the city or whatever. I think they did such a good job with like just placing him back there, because he was kind of, he was in space or he was traveling abroad. Like, so it was nice to kind of bring him back.
Ground him again.
Yeah. And the fact that they were like practically had him like swinging around and stuff, and it didn't feel like he was just like digitally placed in like in one area or another. Like it felt like he was a part of the environment. Like all of those touches really elevated this movie for me.
Yeah. especially like there are scenes where it's obviously like he's on a green screen or like the opening scene, a couple scenes at night where he's on the rooftop and stuff. But like even the fact that they were repeatedly having Tom Holland on set with the suit and then going back and digitally replacing him in the suit. The fact like this movie, he's in the suit like there is literally zero. If he's there in the suit, he's there in the suit. It's not digitally replaced and like to remove the seams and the wrinkles. Like no, like they weren't like it didn't look good. I don't know what their thought process is. Yeah, we're just gonna have him act and do all the green screen stuff, and then just digitally replace him anyway. Like I love the fact that they kept him in the suit, and also the fact that they learned from like I guess the first one those the little quirks of not just him but some stuff from Deadpool because even as he is wearing like this movie he's in a mask the whole time. The other Spider-Man movies he's doesn't wear the mask at all. Like this time he's in the mask the whole time. Even when he's talking with Tillman's character, the guy who played the animal show or interact with everybody, they even mimic the thing from Deadpool where his irises move up and down a little bit more. Like in the first movie, because he doesn't really wear his mask, the only time they would do that is when he was in the Iron Spider suit. The irises would get smaller, but now the whole goggles did shift to actually help sell his emoting, and I did like that.
I loved that because you're right. I didn't really get to see that much. Maybe like once or twice. So to see the goggles moving, I thought that was really cool because it's like you can see that like he's actually there, actually has a mask on, whatever. In terms of the actual plot, what's interesting is is the thing that Peter creates to like, I guess, manage your, I think they called it the endocrine. I don't know. The thing that kind of helps level your whatever makes you super with like your normal DNA, whatever, is like maybe a precursor to the Sentinels and all that stuff, like the technology that they use
so basically that's my only one issue with this movie. And it both like essentially they redid Dr. Banner / Hulk, because the last time we saw them in the last couple of Avengers movies, and when he pops for everybody else along with She-Hulk, they both personalities had made peace and they merge. But then you go into this one where they need plot reason for Peter to create the inhibitor chip, the inhibitor call that suppresses mutants' abilities, which becomes an ongoing thing for mutants deal with whenever they're captured by government agents.
Right, that's what I'm thinking.
Or rogue people, they put the inhibitor call on them, and it nullifies their powers. And in order to do that, they go, hey, who's a character that has an issue? Oh, the Hulk. And so now they reset the Hulk, where Banner had made pieces with Professor Hulk. He's not as big as when he's regular Hulk, but he's still strong enough. And if they reset him to like, oh, I don't want to be the Hulk anymore. Like, but you've made peace with this guy from like the last 3 times we've seen you and She-Hulk. Why is this sudden switch necessary? And to have that, like I didn't really like that because it especially considering we can't get Hulk standalone movies because Universal refuses to create movies or use him in any IP, but still retain the rights, and they just lease them out to Marvel. But because Universal holds the rights to Hulk, they can't create Hulk movies, and Universal doesn't want to reach the same agreement that Sony did. So now you're doing all this. We had his character growth, and now you've just reset his story. Like, where do we go from there? So I'm not a fan of the idea of, Spider-Man, who, like I said, is almost everybody's favorite hero, mutant superheroes, like everybody in Marvel, being the creator behind one of the things that can actually affect X-Men and mutants in a way.
Yeah. Yeah, because it was, I don't know, when I was watching it, I was like, this is kind of like Days of Future Past, kind of like where they have the technology or they try to go back to like make sure it doesn't get created. Yeah. But then that was a completely different character who created that. So I was just kind of confused by that because I was like, so how did he, and then like, but how did someone else do it back in the 70s? But maybe that's a different world because I know they're doing different world stuff where it's like the Fantastic Four are from a different world and the X-Men are from a different world, whatever. I don't know. I maybe they'll retcon that again in Avengers 2. I don't really know, but it just it was something that piqued my interest because I was like, oh, I think I've seen something similar to this before somewhere else, but that was a different thing. Anyway, I did think that it was interesting that like he didn't want like he was I think they're trying to explain how he's changing. And they were saying like well the more isolated he gets the more his power like his mutant abilities kind of take over him, which I don't really know if I understand that, but I like the idea that like he's accepting the changes and that he can be a little bit more volatile, just depending, but he also has to keep that in check. But then I think there was a tie-in with like the symbiote that they had introduced in another movie. This is the thing about having 1,000,000,005 movies where it's like you have to learn every little thing in order to understand what is happening in this one. Like I didn't watch any of the what's that called? Venom. I didn't watch any of those movies, so I don't even know what they're
Are
talking
you are
about.
you are you talking about his change and stuff, Spider-Man's
His
change?
change, yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
So so that they pulled that, if I remember correctly, I think they pulled that from, it's like a recent story in the last couple of years ago, where, not even last, like the 2000s, where essentially Spider-Man is going through like a biological change where he basically cocoons himself. He gets more in tune with the spider side of his abilities, and they're pulling from that, and they're tying in, animals change or evolve during high stress. So because he's now spent 4 years alone just doing Spider-Man shit nonstop, that's high stress that's triggering the evolution of his powers. Yeah, so they've used that before in the comics. It's even though it's about 20-ish, almost 30 years ago, because it's 2001, it's
Mm-hmm.
still, they're pulling from that part of it. Like,
Oh, okay.
and I think they're also going to make it more aligned because I guess also in their head, comic wise, it makes sense. But the idea of, hey, he has all the abilities of a spider, but he can't shoot webs, which is the same issue like they had with Tobey Maguire Spider Man. Like it makes no sense to uh have all those a spider not shoot webs. The only differences with this is, whereas Andrew Garfield had created his webs like Spider Man tends to, they still showed Peter was smart in Andrew Garfield Spider Man. Tobey Maguire Spider Man didn't really showcase his intellectualism, but I think they've done a good job so far of showing how Tobey Maguire Spider Man is smart. They can get away with moving away from the self-made webs and giving organic web shooters, and I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I
So
actually like it. I prefer it
yeah,
because I'm like, well, if you're a spider, then it's supposed to come out of
yeah.
you. That's where it's supposed to come out. Um, yeah, I think that in terms of the rest of the plot, I like that we establish government bad. Well, not all the time, but especially in this case. I don't love him like helping the police. I'm just like whatever, like because I feel like the more natural state where I think things would probably go is that the police would feel threatened by these vigilantes and would want to take them out. I think wasn't that like a plot in Daredevil? I didn't finish watching the second season, so I don't know what happens with that. But
Yeah, I finished
um,
it.
yes, I'm like I don't know. I don't know where that
Yeah.
went. But that to me feels like what they would actually be like, where they're like, we don't want your help, we hate you. But it was nice to see my good sis from the bear, so fine. But Tramel being, I got what his character's name is. What is his character's
William
name?
something or Bill something.
Something,
Yeah.
something.
I had to actually do
I'm like, that's
research on
Mr.
his
Milchick.
character.
I
Yeah.
don't.
I had to do research on his character after, and I realized, okay, it makes sense. Because I thought initially, without knowing his character's name, they were just like what most of these movies tend to do. Hey, we're going to rename this character, but he's actually him. I thought,
Mm,
knowing that they're doing the X-Men stuff, I thought he was going to be like William Stryker. William Stryker is like the
right. I know
guy. Like if
that
you,
guy.
yeah,
Yeah.
I thought he was going to be William Stryker kind of thing, but it turns out no, he's actually a villain. In the X-Men who showed up once, and then, spoiler, it kills him. Well, Magneto kills him.
Okay,
Um,
good.
so at least knowing forward now, knowing who he is, in that storyline, Obviously he's going to be the major foe for the mutants going forward when they do their movie. Probably like, most likely knowing that the fact he only appears once in the X-Men run. He's probably spoiler. He's probably going to die in the X. Like, sorry,
Yeah, that's
but
fine.
yeah, um, yeah. As I said it, I was like, I'm probably saying a spoiler, but yeah. Um, I don't know. I'm still iffy on hey, government bad, but black person works for government even badder. Like I'm
Oh yeah,
still, but yeah.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah. But I do understand why they had him buddy buddy with the cops, because I know in the comics sometimes it's 50-50. Some cops like him, some don't. He's New York's hero, but I think that's more for they're pulling more from the video games, the last two video games, where Spider-Man is actually, hey, I have this detective's number or this, and they're my go-to for the police department kind of thing. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good point there. I
Yeah.
I didn't think about that from that angle because I guess I'm just so used to seeing him as like the antagonist,
Mm-hmm.
so I didn't think about it from. But like the antagonist that you're like interested in. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's a good point. I I feel like when right after we watched the Odyssey, like watching Tom and John work together made me hyped for this movie. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like watching like introducing like getting the introduction of Jean Grey in this movie made me hyped for like the X-Men stuff.
Yeah.
Cause I know in Doomsday there it's like the original X-Men are coming back to this one.
Yeah.
But they're setting up the new younger version. So I'm actually like really excited to see what they're gonna do with that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I love the X-Men. Like that is I actually had to start watching X-Men what is it, 97? 90.
97, yeah.
Yeah, I need to
The
start watching that.
animated one, yeah. Yeah.
Because I love that's like my series. I love those characters. So I'm I'm actually really excited to see what they're gonna do with this. Especially because like the way that they depicted Jean Grey's character, I think I forgot that she is was able to do certain things. Like in my head, she was able to do those like blasts where just like those, I don't know what is it called, the psionic, whatever that is,
Mm-hmm.
where she's able to like just shoot all that energy. But to be able to like get in people's minds, for some reason I thought that was only Professor X's powers, but then I forgot that they actually worked very closely together because their powers were similar or
Yeah.
maybe the same.
Or hers was just stronger.
Hers is just stronger. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I don't want to spoil the news that we have later, so I'll just leave the news. I'll leave that. But I am very hyped to see what they're going to do with the X-Men now that it's back at Marvel, like
Mm-hmm.
and not with Fox. So I'm very excited. I think that her character is interesting because that scene with like Zendaya and Tom on the roof when
Mm-hmm.
she kisses him, but it's not her.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, we're taking this a little too far. Like
Yeah.
that's assault.
Yeah.
And that like we don't revisit that really. It's just
No.
like, ooh, that
It
was
happened. Let's forget about it as soon as possible and move on to something else.
Gene, you
Yeah.
need to relax. Like that
But
you're doing too much right now.
but if there were issues, like I know in the comic book run, this was a couple years ago, they did bring the original like X-Men First Class as far as Cyclops, Jean, and Iceman into current Marvel comics.
Mm-hmm.
And she had a habit of doing that kind of thing, like just going into people's minds unwanted. Like big revelation in comics a couple years ago was Iceman was revealed to be gay. And they kind of reconned him using that. But the fact that like she kind of just read his mind obtrusively and was like, Bobby, you kind of gay
Oh
in a
my
way. Like
god.
her, like they kind of position as the younger Jean Grey for the most part is like the ones we read in the comics and the ones we see now is the older, more mature Jean Grey, the one who's been having to deal with Phoenix and all that stuff. She understands her powers. She understands at least not, crossing a boundary and reading people's mind or jumping people like she does now without, consent or tactical value for the X-Men. Before she just read people's minds and not give a fuck. Like that's how they framed young Jean. So that's also why she is also the way she was in this movie.
Okay, so we're
Yeah.
just gonna say it's the follies of youth.
Yes, Fuzzy. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, so I was fine with her characterization, knowing where they're drawing from, pulling from each one, and that's what I love about this movie in particular. They're able to pull from so many different comic books, like even current stuff, older stuff. My only issue is I did love Tom Holland and John Barthel's banter back and forth, big brother, little
Hmm.
brother.
I did
But
like that. Yeah.
I do feel they made Punisher, and because they have to, because Spider
Yeah.
Man is kid
They made
friendly,
him.
they made him too nice.
Yes, I agree. I actually didn't like that either.
They
It
made him,
didn't feel as genuine to his
yeah.
real character.
Yeah, you have like they did, like you mentioned, like some of the cut scenes, some of the slideshow stuff of them mimicking cover art from different Spider-Man comics. They did a thing where at one point in the Civil War, where he's in the suit, Punisher carries him to the hospital, and they literally
Yes.
have it posed the same way. But I don't think, and knowing how Punisher's also his symbols bastardized by current racist cops now, and he himself in the
Mm,
comics goes, "You're wearing my symbol, but you wear it wrong." He'll even Punisher kills cops. It's like, let's be honest. Like the
hmm.
fact that you would have Punisher walk into a hospital and just be there by Spider-Man the whole time and not escorted out, no security, that he's there driving through New York with, grenade launchers and stuff, chasing a tank, and the cops aren't chasing him as well, that kind of thing. Um, but for a Spider-Man movie, they kind of had to.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wish they could have probably used Daredevil, Matt Murdock, and had them interact, because they interacted in the last movie.
Yeah.
Um, and I kind of wish they didn't use the new Black Widow. I kind of wish they
Oh,
used
I love
what's her
Florence.
not, I don't have the issue of Florence, but I'm talking about like that kind of character. Like I wish they had used old girl from
Scarlett Johansson.
no, oh my gosh. Remember Luke Cage's girl? Why do I forget some comic book stuff and don't remember comic book
Who
stuff?
else is?
Oh
Hold on,
my
I don't know.
gosh.
Okay, you know this because I definitely don't.
She had black hair, black hair.
Oh, that girl.
See, I'm gonna remember it later, and I'm gonna remember the name.
Her name was like
Oh,
Kat or something.
no, but
No.
Jessica Jones. Jessica
Yeah,
Jones. I
yeah,
wish
that's
they
who I
had.
was. That's who I was
I
thinking.
wish they had used something like that, because she is actually a detective. And that also grounds Spider-Man more. He's not gonna, even though Black Widow, he kind of works the Avengers. He's not gonna go that far, knowing he's dealing with solving a case. And to keep him more grounded, because you already have Punisher. He's already interacted with Daredevil in the previous movie. Have him interact with Jessica Jones or maybe Luke Cage. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
think
Why
the
aren't
issue,
they in this? That
yeah.
is a good question.
That's why I wish she interacted with her, trying to like get information of through damage control. But yeah, other than that, I still enjoyed the movie. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Many.
yeah,
There's
it's
some when you unpack it, but I think that's more of just like if you know all the
yeah,
information, it's gonna
yeah,
feel a
yeah,
little.
yeah.
But if you're just like a casual viewer, I think you'll have fun with
Yeah,
it.
I still think it's a big improvement.
Yeah.
Yes, Far From Home, the last one, all three Spider-Man, was wonderfully done. Even
It
though I
was
had
cool
some
to
issues
have
with
them
that,
back,
it was
but I
still having
think
back.
this is a
Yeah,
better movie.
yeah.
Yeah.
Between, like, for me, the two good Spider-Man movies from this era are gonna be Homecoming and this one.
Yeah. I love
Like,
Homecoming. Love this one. Yeah.
so yeah, Homecoming and five are gonna be or was this four? It was four.
Four.
Four, yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah,
four.
yeah. So one and four are my top two of the Tom Holland Spider-Man era.
I have to agree.
I just, well, I just feel like they like the only thing I want. I clearly, there's clearly stuff left out, because they did not mention her new boyfriend. They mentioned she shows up once and doesn't show up again anymore in the
Yeah.
rest of the movie. So there's probably a lot of cutting room stuff that'll come out a year or two from now. Well, they don't do DVD extras anymore, so maybe it'll show up on Disney Plus with
Yeah.
those extra features. So
They also keep hinting to like Miles Morales. Like, is he gonna show up live
yeah,
action in one of these things? I don't know what's happening with that. So, but they do keep nodding to it. So
yeah, yeah.
I'm not sure.
So on to an oldie but a goodie. Decided to bring it back. Especially considering the record number that Spider-Man has brought in. So I'm just going to do a quick, box office rundown. Of course, number 10, down from 8. last weekend or last week is Young Washington from Angel Pictures. 46 yeah, 46 million total gross. I Want Your Sex, debuted this past weekend at number 9. So far, total gross, of course, debut is about 640,000. Evil Dead Burn, uh in its fourth week, yeah, in its fourth week, debuted at went from 6 all the way to 8. So far has only made 31 million. The Invite in its sixth week, it's so far made 22 million. Hadestown the Musical from Bleecker Street Media in its second week has made 18 million. Moana 2 down from second place all the way to fifth, has totally grossed 115 million. Monsters and Minions, the latest in the Monsters, not Monsters and Minions franchise, that has made so far 170 million. Toy Story 5, I forgot Toy Story 5 was still in theaters, but it's in its seventh week, has made 462 million. Of course, the big two, obviously now Odyssey in its second week has dropped from 1 all the way to second. So far, total gross domestically, this is domestic gross, has been 395 million. And of course, number 1 this past weekend is Spider-Man Man Day with its total gross so far of 36 million. But like I mentioned earlier, with all the Spider-Man franchises all together, it's going to hit that $10 billion mark. Globally so far, the Spider-Man has earned $1 billion. It's earned $971 million as of recording. Behind that, of course, and that's just in one weekend. Of course, we already know Odyssey worldwide, and it's what I just mentioned, its third week has made $911 million. So that will also reach $1 billion. So those two look like the two highest grossing movies of the year so far.
Yep, and that's not a surprise. I think someone said that back right after the pandemic, Spider-Man No Way Home like basically saved movie theaters. Like if that didn't do well, like movie theaters would be like shutting down. That's what I heard.
Yeah,
So
No Way Home made in its whole box office run 100, about almost 2 billion. But it didn't make that number in like one essential
no.
weekend. Yeah.
But the fact that this is about to is I think is amazing. Like that's kind of wild, but makes sense. Honestly makes sense. So, continuing off of maybe the Spider-Man, introducing the mutants back to Marvel. We're getting some exciting casting news about who's going to be in that new Marvel's X-Men movie. One being Samara Weaving. She will be the new Emma Frost. And I loved Frost in those. What are they classified as? Because I guess maybe is it second gen X-Men where you had
What do you
like,
mean?
because the first one was Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen and Halle Berry and all of those people. And then I guess the second one, would it be Michael Fassbender and James McAvoy? And
Chronologically, Fassbender and McAvoy's X-Men would have been before Halle Berry and everybody else.
but do you
Emma
know what I mean in terms of
Frost.
like when the movies come out?
Yeah. So I guess it would be second attempt
Second
at the
attempt.
franchise.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I guess for this, is this the third or the fourth one? I'm not really. No, it's maybe the third one.
just the third one. Yeah.
The third one.
Well,
Yeah.
fourth technically, was it fourth?
Fourth? Oh boy. This is
It's
confusing.
hard because
Whatever.
it's hard. It's maybe the fourth. Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is that for that class where it
Yeah.
was McAvoy, Fassbender, Jennifer Lawrence, all those folks,
Hmm.
I loved January Jones
Hmm.
as Frost. I thought she was
Yes.
amazing. Like
Wonderful
I was
cast.
kind of obsessed with her. Like
Yeah.
and I loved her and I loved her powers. Honestly, the highlight of those though I think it was X-Men First Class. Like I loved her character. So the fact that Samara Weaving, who is a horror girly, like she is our horror final girl, like she's amazing. She's gonna play that part. I'm actually really excited about that. I think she's gonna do a great job. I think she is gonna like get the genre really well. I'm so excited to see how, like, as this continues to build out, who else is gonna be involved. There are some rumors that maybe Charles Melton and Kaylee, I forgot her last name already. I'm sorry, girl. I love you though. But from Beef and from a lot of other great stuff, like they might also be in it. I can't remember what characters they're playing. I think she's playing Rogue. Maybe Kaylee Spaney, yeah, got it, is maybe playing Rogue. And is Charles playing Beast? Is that what I heard? Maybe that's what I heard.
I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. My biggest concern with her casting is the age, because like Mavis, like I'm thankful for the Spider-Man to kind of establish that, like that first group of X-Men, like yes, Wolverine is like 100 years old, but when essentially when Spider-Man starts out, Cyclops, Jean, all that, the first, like even Beast, technically, in a way, they're all like high school age, like they're all in their adolescence. So my concern is now knowing that there is like, from the comic book lens, knowing that there's also a bit of a love triangle between, Jean Grey, and Cyclops and Emma Frost to a bit. Like, there's a 10-year age gap between Sadie Sink and, well, I don't want to mispronounce, Samara Weaving. Who do you class to play Cyclops? Because he has to fit between that age range to make the relationship really work, in a way.
Well, I guess the thing is that like we don't know when these movies are coming out, right? So by maybe the time they come out, she'll be a little bit older. So maybe it won't be that weird. Yeah. But it depends on when it comes out. But that is true, because I think I heard Indy Navaldi, who just did Obsession, is about to play Mystique. Yeah. So like, and these are young actors, but Charles Melton is older. He's in his maybe
early mid-30s.
Yeah. So they are going to have to try to see how that's going to fit in, and maybe they're going to wait a little bit. But if they're supposed to be high school age, then I would think that you would want to maybe start shooting a little bit sooner, so that the cast who are in their early 20s can reasonably play high school ages.
Well, if Charles Milton is playing Beast, his age kind of works, as I always viewed Beast as being a little bit older than the rest of the team. Like, they're teenagers when they first meet up. He's probably in his late 20s, so it kind of works. But my thing is the Emma Frost, Jean Grey, and knowing that one dude kind of bounces between both of them, like that age thing. So
yeah, okay. Well, I will keep my eyes peeled, because I'm actually very fascinated to see who's getting cast in this. So I'm excited.
And yeah. So in a bit of other weird, announcements. So I don't know if anybody paid attention a couple weeks ago. There's a trailer for a Matchbox movie. Piggybacking off that hype of course, what Barbie did a couple years ago, attaching a toy brand, I guess, to a picture. Although if you've watched this trailer starring John Cena, it's more so Apple's version of Fast and Furious. Honestly, they could have just rebranded this and pitched it as, another Fast and Furious side story featuring, his character, like they did with the Rock and Jason Statham's character. Another Fast and Furious side story in the gap between them. The only thing tangential to the toy brand of Matchbox is the characters mentioned playing with Matchbox toys as a kids. But also, hot off the heels of that, we are getting a sequel to Barbie. Which I don't know how that's going to work. I feel like the story they told with Barbie was honestly really complete. There's no real direction you go to. Of course, Ryan Gosling, his character evolves, so does Margot Robbie. The issue right now I think they're having right now is Ryan Gosling is asking for $20 million and a back end, which Warner Bros. Discovery doesn't want to agree to. So they're on a kind of a ticking clock, because sequel rights revert. They made like the rights for Barbie for Warner Brothers is really small. So the rights for that IP and the sequel rights revert back to Mattel in September if no deal is signed and any plans of filming a movie start up. And of course, even though the merger um, between Warner Brothers Discovery and Paramount has delayed, the person kind of holding up mostly Ryan Gosling signing is David Zaslav, because of course he is.
Of course.
But I'm also, I don't know, I don't see where this movie would go. Like I think everybody in the movie had a complete character arc. It's kind of hard where you go to with the story. Like it was a complete story. So it's kind of hard where you see the next step going with this, especially considering Ryan Gosling now has also been Comic-Con announced as Ghost Rider. So when is production on that going to start? Is he going to sign off for this 100%? So it's all that is still kind of up in the air.
Yeah, I don't see why anyone would want to come back and do another movie. Like I don't see why. I mean, when people were like, who asked for a Barbie movie? And then we got it. Like, I feel like who is really asking for a second one? Like, I don't know anyone who's asking for a second Barbie movie. Like, and also like what you said, it's done. She's not even a toy anymore. She's a human person by the end of it. So it's like, what are we doing with this? Like, what are you even trying to write? Like, what is the point of this that you like? What points are you trying to make in the second one that you didn't already make in the first one? Like, I don't. Like, none of you guys need this money.
None.
And like, Ryan, like, honey, not to be that person, but like, you're about to do Ghost Rider. You just did Project Hail Mary that made a buttload of money. Like, you are making money. Like, you really don't need this at all.
You can walk away
Greta
from
made Greta made so much money from this movie as a director and a producer, and so did Margot Robbie. So like, y'all don't need to do this at all. Just leave it. Just leave it.
I think Margot's looking at it more because after she did this, she wanted to do was it Amsterdam? Was it Amsterdam?
No, that came out before this movie.
It came before this movie?
Well, yeah.
So
I mean, the thing with Margot Robbie is that like, even if she's not getting maybe like amazing roles, I mean, I don't know. Wuthering Heights was, I don't know what really happened with that one. I actually forgot. What happened with that one.
Yeah.
She's still a producer. Like that Lucky Chat production company that she has with her husband, it's making a lot of stuff and they're making money off of that. So like, that's what I'm saying about like even the economic draw of like why you would do something like this. Like nobody really needs to do this. Greta's about to make, I think she already is either still shooting or has finished The Lion, the Witch, like those movies. Mm-hmm. That's going to make a crap ton of money when it comes out next year. So like we don't need to do this, guys. Like let's just drop it.
Yeah.
Let's just drop it. Yeah. Anyways, did you watch anything over? I forgot we didn't talk about Comic-Con, but I feel like
that's kind of why I jumped in there. So I think Comic-Con now. I think
we all know.
Yeah, and Comic-Con I think is not the big draw it once was like a couple of years ago. Of course, I did watch. Of course, the Ryan Gosling stuff, the casting of my boy David Johnson as T'Challa's son as a new Black Panther. I'm excited for that. That also brought out some other malcontents within our community who have issues with Black actors or Black Brits taking Black American roles. I don't kind of view it the same. For me, Black is Black, no matter where you're coming from. Yeah. Especially a fictional country where you have other Black Brits and other Caribbean Black people in the movie. It is what it is. People pick weird hills to die on. I'm really happy for him. I've been watching his stuff for a long time, like his work in the industry, his work in the recent Stephen King movie, his stuff in Alien. I've been a Rye Lane. I've been a big fan of his stuff for like a long time. So to see him now get a lead character, still person carrying the movie in a way, I'm excited. Can't wait. Excited to see what he does with that. Of course, Ryan Gosling, that I mentioned a while ago, is Ghost Rider. It is what it is. And of course, the subtle tease, but not tease, that Ryan Reynolds most likely is going to show up in Avengers Doomsday, either part 1 or part 2. because he kind of did, um, what's the word? Interrupt their appearance at Comic Con. But yeah, but it's just the typical stuff you expected this time of year. Like DC didn't really showcase anything because they're still dealing with the issues of Supergirl and how they mishandled that. But Comic Con so far was just basically a Marvel showcase for them. So we'll see next year probably when DC shows up with their stuff. So
yeah, and I guess they don't. I mean, I think the Batman got pushed back again, so I don't know what they would be showing.
I think filming has started for that though.
Oh, no, yeah, it's definitely started, but I guess the release date has been pushed back, which is sad for me because I really want to see it. But yeah, I'm trying to think. Oh, did you watch the trailer for Blood of Bone? And do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, the Children of Blood and Bone.
What are your thoughts on that?
I'm 50-50 on it. I don't want to mess the name of the writer. I was also watching her interview and reading her stuff, the issues she had herself with, I guess, visiting set production issues of not aligning with, what she wrote, and in particular the issue she had with Amandla Stellenberg, I guess.
Amanda Steinberg,
I guess issues about the character she's playing or how she's portraying the character and how that they didn't get along. But that's the catch-22 or the 50-50 you got to deal with when you're writing a acclaimed series and it gets picked up and you sell the rights for a movie. You got to deal with the issue of whatever I put forward is not going to be done to my vision. The only writer who's escaped that somehow is J.K. Rowling with Warner Brothers, but almost every other book that has been optioned so far, with exception here or there, when it comes to YA novels, usually does not meet the critiques of the writer. I think even Stephanie Meyer herself said parts of Twilight didn't really fit, what she wrote, but, she was like, a check is a check. In a way, but I do feel like with this product, how it's black led, black written, black everything, it's more on her chest as had to see the world she built and the character she created, not really depicting the way she wanted. And I can understand that.
I was like, wow, this is not it. Like, I didn't even watch. I didn't read the book or anything, but I know about the book.
Yeah,
but like, why is it just Black Panther and the Woman King meshed together? Like two movies we have already seen rehashed. Like someone literally heated the Black Panther Woman King nachos. Yeah. I'm like, y'all got the same actors, same plot. That's what it's looking like. Yeah. Same actors also in similar roles. Bad wigs. I'm like, what is happening right now? I'm so confused.
And we spoke about that a week before. We were talking about, these creative people behind, not even these are not creatives, obviously. These are people who look at box office numbers and what's trending and say the movie has to hit these tones. So you option the book for a movie, you get the rights, but then you're going to say, hey, we want the Woman King and we want Black Panther. Not what you wrote. We want to take your IP because it's known and attach our vision or the vision we think that'll draw audiences in. So
I am not excited for that because I'm just like, y'all. Oh, okay. I don't know what else to say other than just like, yeah. I find that interesting. I find it interesting that like these actors aren't like in other stuff. Like they can barely lead other stuff like outside of maybe television. And then it's like Viola Davis and then like who else? Like I mean, Damson has his own show, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like y'all don't want to put these actors in more stuff. You just want to put them in the same thing that everyone has already seen before. That pisses me off. So I'm kind of annoyed and I'm not excited for this, but I don't know, maybe the community has more to say about this movie.
Yeah, and I'm also surprised the fact that, like you mentioned, I think that you mentioned one key person there, Damson Idris, because for the longest he was like dangling our face as, the next Black Panther. And I think that's part of more so than David being Black Brit, the fact that we watched Damson in F1. We watched him in not Snowfall. Yeah. So we've seen his career, we've seen his charisma, we've grown to like, and he's had a couple movies here or there, not as good, but those two are his major roles. And you've been kind of dangling in our face, like, oh, he's Whisper, the next Black Panther. I think that's the thing. Like David's announcement of the role came out of left field when you've been kind of dangling. Both Marvel and Damson have been dangling the idea of him being Black Panther. So when people get news contrary to that, it's hard. But hopefully, once again, Damson is in that group of up and coming Black actors. Hopefully he has another project coming up because I will sit and watch it as well. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. Did you watch anything over these last 2 weeks?
Me personally, I've been getting ready for football being back. Just watching a lot of football, playing a lot of NCAA last week. No movies yet. I have caught all the way up. Like what I do with these, because every movie or series or show streams now, so I kind of waited until I had a backlog of X-Men 97. So I watched all the way up to the most recent one where they introduced Polaris. Like last week, I was like, I can't do the drip feeding. If you're making me pay to watch on streaming service, just let me just marathon the thing. So I did knock that out. Kind of 50-50 on the direction that X-Men 97 has gone. They're trying to condense multiple spots of X-Men history into like one in a way. But yeah, I'm still enjoying it because I remember watching the original version of X-Men when it came out in 97. So, I'm having a blast, like marathon.
That's great. I started watching Welcome to Derry. Very scary stuff, but also really good. And I heard it was really good, so I'm not like surprised by that. But yeah, I watched the first movie and I was really scared, but I did like it. I did not watch. No, actually, I did. I did watch the second one. I watched that one. I didn't really like the second one with the adults that much, but
the one with Bill Hader and stuff like that.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy it as much as I did with the first one. I think there is something about like being a kid that kind of heightens those fearful elements. But yeah, this series is really good, and the fact that it is set in the early 60s and then they're incorporating a lot of that history in there actually makes it much more interesting. So props to everyone. Everyone's doing a great job. I am really interested. I'm really into that. And I watched the Idaho College Murders docuseries because I remember that murder case when it happened, when this guy like just killed a bunch of college kids, just like walked into their home and just like murdered a whole bunch of people. It wasn't a great documentary because the case is still ongoing. So there's not like a whole bunch that they can really say or they can really get into because the case, I mean, it's not ongoing. I think he has been sentenced, but like, it feels like there's a lot of stuff that people can't say. So it's not actually that interesting after a while, after you figure out like what happened. Yeah. It is devastating though. It's very, very sad. But yeah. Still watching House of the Dragon, still looking that.
Yeah. That I'm waiting for it to have a lot in the chamber too.
Yeah. It's over next week. Next week is the season finale, so you can binge away. But yeah, that's it. All right. Well, that is it from us this week. We hope that you're all doing well and taking care of yourselves. Make sure to check out all of our social media. Support us if you can. And we will see you guys in the next episode. Goodbye.
Au revoir.